Are you ready to carve your own future? What are you doing to take care of your mind, body, and spirit? Mental and emotional burdens have become normal in our lives. Do you take time for self-care and self-love? Let's ignite our potential and let's take off into the future. Let's put you before anything else.
Hello, my name is Urvee, and welcome to another episode in our Youth Empowerment series. Today, we are joined by Ananya, who is a first-year student at Carleton University. Thanks for joining us today. So before we start, can you briefly tell us how you got into Sookshma and how long you've been involved in the program?
Thank you so much for the introduction, Urvee. I started Sookshma Meditation since third grade. I actually still remember giving Amma little, tiny little letters every single time after class. I think she still has them, but yeah, I definitely started very young.
That's very sweet, actually. So can you please help us understand how meditation and Sookshma has impacted your life in general? And since you've been in the program since you were so young, I'm sure it has really, made you grow into the person you are today.
For sure, yeah. I so clearly to this day remember going to sessions crying about how I was getting bullied in elementary school, um, and how I used to have like a lot of like health issues too. I was a lot of like IBS, things like that. And I would always be talking about these issues during our sessions. And I didn't notice right away, but now that I'm looking back on it, I have evolved and changed so much due to Sukshma and meditating. Um, as a child, I think I was able to do it a little bit more often because I was able to get the push from my parents. But as I kept growing up, obviously school burdens, hobbies, things like that, they came in the way, and I wasn't practicing as much. And I think like looking back, I can definitely tell from when I did practice when I was a kid and how amazing my like energy used to be on a daily basis to like around grade 8 to grade 9 when I was really stressed out but not really practicing, and how it was like depleting my health. But
Mm.
definitely there's been a lot of evolution um, within myself through Sukshma.
Yeah, I think even if you get busier and when you grow up, because you've had it in your life for so long, it can never leave you and it's just going to
Exactly.
continue
Yeah.
impacting you.
It's
Yeah.
really a lifelong
Uh,
journey.
s exactly, exactly. What do you think your understanding of the Sukshma program is? I think a lot of us or the public tends to group meditation directly with religion or um, India, but can you kind of give us your perspective of what you think the program is?
For sure. Meditation, although it may be derived from spirituality, which is obviously linked to religion, it's not something that only one group of people can follow. It's a tool to help us grow as human beings. It's a tool to help you mentally stabilize. And I think it's open to absolutely everyone of all ages, of all colors, of all lifestyles. Um, for example, I know in Christianity they have some sort of meditating practice in front of like God. So does Islam and so does Hinduism. So it's definitely not just from India. It's been practiced all over the world, and I think, like you said, there is really a big misconception. I know a lot of people think like, oh, like meditating is like you sit in a cave with like monks and you just sit there for years and years. But it's really not like that. Again, it's a tool for self growth. Um, and it's easy to access for everyone. And I think Sushma does that by providing it to everyone.
Yeah, actually, in my job right now, we in our orientation,
Mhm.
there's people all across Canada in the job, and in the orientation, we had someone lead us through guided meditation.
Oh,
And
wow.
this person is in Indian, but it's just crazy how this is showing up more and more. And it was similar to what we do. It wasn't the same, but the reason we were doing it was very similar.
For sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, so you're a first year student with a full course load,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So how do you think meditation helps you deal with day-to-day stress? And do you see any immediate benefits after you practice it?
I definitely do. Being a first year student that's never really been like a university setting of doing everything by myself without having people tell me, like I think in high school, we have deadlines that are like strictly set. We have teachers kind of going after us all the time. But when it comes to university, everything is self-paced, especially with COVID. It's on you to attend your classes, on you to submit your assignments. And meditating, I've noticed whenever, especially all of last week when I had big papers due, whenever I practiced meditating right before doing my essay, I was really able to calm down and I knew exactly what to write. But when I didn't, I was very distracted. I was going on my phone a lot. I didn't really know what to do. My mind was really all over the place. So I think definitely I see immediate results where I'm able to focus a lot more and able to calm down.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad it helps you. I know
Mhm.
it's definitely something that helps me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions on how Sookshma has helped you deal with some common issues that teenagers face and how you think it helps change people's perspectives. So in our teenage years, we all struggle with peer pressure and a lot of stuff that happens in and out of school. What were your personal challenges like, and how did Sookshma and meditation help you through that?
Like you said, I think
Yeah.
peer pressure is definitely the biggest challenge amongst teens. I think going through high school, there was this big pressure to be popular, to kind of be the top of your class in academics and look the best. I, I till this day, I still have a very have a lot of pressure when it comes to looking a certain way, whether it's my weight, the way my face is shaped, or what I'm wearing, or my hair, and things like that. Very, very minute things, but things that can blow up over the span of your life based on what other people say about you and the way that you perceive other people. Um, so judgment and peer pressure, I would say, are the biggest things in my life, and I know definitely in other people's lives as well. Um, the way that I think I've dealt with peer pressure, starting off with that, is I I like to separate myself from the issue for a second, and I just go back and I ask myself, okay, is this something that I'm going to be proud of? The action that whoever wants me to do or take part in, is this something I'm proud of a day from now, a month from now, or a year from now? What's my moral compass? Is this something that is true to me, or is it true to someone else? And I think after you're able to ask yourself these questions and answer them, um, you'll automatically be able to pull yourself away from any sort of pressure that your peers are putting on you. And when it comes to looking a certain way, again, I still deal with this today. And literally deciding for this interview what to wear is such a big deal for me. Um, but I think slow and simple steps, like taking a second and understanding that you are your own person. Um, there's nothing you can do to change that except accept how beautiful you are and accept that you are made the way you are for a reason. Um, it sounds very corny and cheesy, but I really do believe so. And I think the day we all find the confidence within ourselves to uplift, um, it shows automatically, and I think it makes you even more beautiful. It makes you even more of an amazing person. And I think that's exactly what Sushma preaches, and that's exactly what we practice through our meditation. And I've come to all of these realizations, I guess you could say, through meditating and talking it out, um, which is obviously what Sushma has helped me to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through that as well through high school, and I think the way you split it into parts and the strategy you use is honestly so inspiring because I never did that, but hearing it from you, I should have done it, and I think if I ever face it in the future, I will. So in our lives today, there's so many distractions, focusing and just being able to put yourself onto one thing is such a challenge for teenagers and just everyone in general nowadays. So how do you think meditation helps with mental focus?
That's an amazing question. mental focus, I think, is so needed right now for all of us, especially through COVID, when we just feel so like constricted and closed off. I think it, like, personally for me, it's helped me a lot, and it really helps you focus and ground yourself and brings you back to your roots, and helps you find, like, very, very cheesy once again, but helps you find the true light within yourself. Um, so Sunita Math always told me A to A, so Ananya to Ananya, and it really helps you find that inner child within yourself, and it helps you regrow that and nurture that child and bring it back up, which I think is so, so important, especially during these times. Um, and as teenagers, I think going back to the whole distractions and pressures, we have so many of those that we tend to forget that we are still, in a way, children. Even when we're ready, we're still gonna be kids in some way or another. And I think it's so important that we stay in tune with that. And meditation really helps you do that because, again, it grounds you back to your roots. And overall, when you ground yourself, it shows in everything. It shows in the way you look. It shows in the way you talk to people. It shows in your work and your academic life. So yeah.
Yeah, that is such a simple yet powerful message. And I think everyone needs to realize that at the end of the day, you have to come back to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as teenagers, again, we struggle with a lot of emotions. We have ups and downs on a daily basis. And sometimes we need an outlet, and often we feel like we don't have one. So how do you think Sookshma meditation helps you manage your emotions?
For sure. Yeah, definitely a lot of emotions, a lot of breakdowns, especially with
Yeah.
coming around all the time. Um, I think meditating is one aspect of it, but the other is learning to accept those emotions, learning to talk it out. I personally like to write letters to myself. I have this big blue box, very, very similar to the like to All the Boys I Love movie style, like a box.
Yeah.
And I just write letters to myself. I seal them up in envelopes, and I open them like a year, sometimes a month, um, from that time. And I think it helps you, one, keep track of the progress you're making, as well as knowing that these emotions are not permanent. They come and go, they're like clouds. And I think when you meditate, you're able to clear those clouds, which is exactly why it's so powerful. Um, so I like to write before and after. Usually I just write before, and then after I meditate, I realize that all the things that I wrote in my letter, about how worried I was or how upset I was, I remember I used to write all the time. Whenever me and my mom would have arguments, I would just go and write. I would cry and write. Then I would meditate on it, and then all of those worries would just disappear away. And I think it's so important that we learn to, one, take help from other people through guided meditation, and just meditating by yourself even, but mainly to let those emotions out, because there's only so much you can bottle up within yourself, and meditating really helps you release those things.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly couldn't agree with you more. And I think for you, it's writing, but for others, it could be,
Mhm.
through poetry, through
Exactly, yeah.
um, some kind of physical activity. There's so many outlets, and I think it's important to find one.
For sure.
So another big issue that we face is body consciousness.
Mhm.
And at our age, we are, I think, influenced more than anyone else. How do you think Sukshma meditation is helping with self-esteem and self-confidence issues and being able to connect to something deeper than just the physical self? And if you faced any personal challenges with that, how has it helped you?
I've definitely faced a lot of body consciousness issues. Like I mentioned, since I was a childhood, I think we're just exposed to a society environment where there's this constant pressure of looking a certain way, whether it's through social media, through now TikTok, Instagram, the models, Kim Kardashians. Um, and I think even more as a girl, I feel like not only do I have to meet society's expectations to be proper and be decent, but also kind of go into these temptations of, oh, I want to look like the supermodel, I want to be tall, I want to be perfect. And dealing with those emotions and dealing with those fake realities is not easy. And I think once we learn to accept the fact that what we see um, from those supermodels, what we see on TV is not real. Most of those people undergo surgery, or they undergo very, very rigorous workouts and diets. If not, they often Facetune and edit their photos. So I think the first step is really coming to a reality sense of that, and then using Sookshma and meditation as a tool to guide yourself away from the fake reality that we're seeing. I think we can, again, really do that by connecting back with ourselves. I feel like you really can't achieve anything external if you don't connect to yourself internally first. And again, that all starts with that journey from meditating and connecting with that little child inside of you. Because that little child never worried about if her pigtails were like the wrong size or anything like that. Right? We were carefree. We honestly, all we wanted to do was play, and that's it. And I think we need to go back to those roots, and we can only do that when we start letting go of things, when we start letting go of the different perceptions of reality we're seeing in media and from our peers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore. It's all about finding that inner self and, realizing that you're more than just the external you. Yeah. So as you mentioned in your previous answer, as a female, we tend to face some extra challenges. And being a young woman going out into the world, what do you think Sukshma meditation can help you to face the challenges of inequality in your career, in opportunities, and how do you think it has already helped you?
For sure. I think that's definitely a very, very important aspect to look at. There's a huge misconception about feminism. Feminism is not an extreme. It is simply asking for equality, which is exactly what each of us deserve. And through Sukshma, you're really able to ground yourself and find that inner self-confidence. Because if you don't have that confidence within yourself, you cannot expect to shine out to other people, and you can't expect other people to grow from it. And if you don't have a stable mindset for yourself, you're never going to be able to go out there and reach for the top and fight men that are not wanting you in those big positions, right? So it all starts internally, again, like I said. And I think the way that Sukshma really helps, yes, meditation is one aspect, it really grounds you and everything, but I think the most important thing is it uplifts you and gives you that strength to understand that there's always a team that is supporting you. There's always people that will support you. Just in our youth group, yes, it is majority females. I think right now we have about 2 guys. But we all support each other so much. And I think Sukshma really provides that nurturing and caring environment, which shows you that there is not all bad in the world. There is a lot of good. And when all that good bands together, you can make amazing things happen and build yourself while you're helping other people build. And that can really carry you forward for the rest of your life through whatever it is and help you fight all the battles you need to fight.
Yeah. I hope that all females and all girls are able to know this message, because it's so important to know that, and it is difficult out there, but I think if you know that you have that support system and you have those people around you, it just makes it that much easier.
Yeah, exactly.
So as a youth, we're still trying to figure out what we want to do in the future and, where we want to go from here. So what do you think is kind of the secret to realizing your passion and purpose in today's world and making sure that you're going in the right direction?
That's definitely a very relevant question, especially for the new grade 12s kind of going to university, trying to figure out what they want to do. The first thing to understand is it's okay to not know what you want to do. You don't need to have your life planned out second by second, moment by moment. Life is just life. It flows. It's like a river, right? There's different rocks. There's different branches falling randomly. things are going to be thrown at you. You need to be able to just go with the punch. And I think the most important thing is just trial and error. I remember I started this nonprofit. It wasn't officially established, but it was called Power Vote. I was very extremely passionate. I want to be a diplomat one day. So for me, it was a really, really passionate project. I was interviewing MPs and different ministers, but it just wasn't working for me. Something was missing. Even though I had the passion, I just didn't really have the drive to do as much as I possibly could, even though I did put in my 100%. And that's okay. I think just accepting the fact that, you know what, it didn't work, but there are many, many things that you can take on later in life. I think it's so important that you don't push yourself constantly, because when you're pushing something that just isn't meant to be, it's gonna break, right? Life is very fragile. Like if you hold it in your hands carefully, it won't slip away. But if you just let it loose, or hold it too tight even, it's gonna crumble. Yeah. And I think that's so, so important to remember, especially knowing that as teenagers we have so much pressure on like education and all of that. Divide your time, divide your energy, but make sure that you're putting your 100% into everything. So rather than doing like 50 different things, pick 2 things that you really love and give your 100% to each of those things. And I think through that, slowly it'll build and you'll be able to find your passion, because you're not going crazy with your head. You're focused and you're concentrated enough to try those certain things. And if they don't work out, you can drop something and add something and drop something and just keep going with the flow, like I said. I actually wanted to be a doctor since I was 2 years old. I remember telling everyone, I was like, I want to build a hospital, I want to do this and that. Even some noses. I was so dead set on being a doctor until grade 10. So honestly, pretty recently. I was so set on it. No one could change my mind, even though I absolutely hated math. I can't sit in a chair and just focus and read like that. I need to get up, I need to move. I love talking to people, I love meeting new people. But I just wasn't ready to accept that fact, because I took it in like a negative way of, oh no, if I don't become a doctor, I'm like breaking all the promises I made to different people, even though in reality it was just me forcing myself into something I know that I'm not cut out for. I think once I was able to just break myself from that and say, you know what, let's just step back for a second and let life take the wheel. And through that, I found Modeling United Nations, and I was able to open up passions and things like that I never knew were there. I never knew you could be a diplomat. But I think because I opened those lenses, I was able to find different things that I'm really good at. And again, even now, I'm still accepting the fact that I could wake up tomorrow and suddenly not want to be a diplomat. I could wake up want to be a dancer again. But I think it's just the fact of letting go and understanding that life is truly, it's a trial and error at the end of the day. You can't just force things upon yourself. And this is where I think meditation and Sookshma really comes into play, because it teaches you not to strangle yourself, but to let yourself loose. And that's something that everyone needs, especially right now. And for all those grade 12s that are struggling with university application, I think it's so important to remember that it's okay to apply for something, and then in first year, second year, even when you get the acceptance or denied letter, that things change. But doesn't mean it's the end. It means that there's just something better for you. And just keep an open mind, I guess, is kind of the message of it.
Yeah, that's such a amazing.
I'm sorry, it was so long.
No, that was great, because I was listening to you and I'm just thinking to myself that like I relate to it so much, because all of high school and until I started university, I was like, I want to be a doctor. I'm dead set on it. I want to be a doctor. And I decided to go into arts because there was this like urging feeling inside of me, which was like, I have a passion towards arts. I need to explore it. Now I'm taking all these arts courses like sociology and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be a doctor. And it's like, everything just changed. I was completely into sciences in high school, and now it's completely opposite. So like you said, things change every day, and you just need to keep an open mind.
Exactly. Like sometimes I think, like, let's just say I did choose to like go into medicine. I feel like I'd be so miserable because I'm learning
too.
all these things, but it's just not registering. And right now, like, I'm working on this really, really difficult essay. It's like 9 pages long,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's due next week. And I barely just started right now, but
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued because it's
Yeah.
something I deeply love and am passionate about. So I feel like working on it. And I think that's really where the differentiation comes in, right? Like,
Yep.
because I let life take the wheel, I was able to now do what I love instead of having to just like strangle myself, I think.
Yeah. And I think even if you need to be practical with like choosing a career path, I think at the end of the day, if you're not happy with what you do, then
Exactly.
it's not worth it. And I think yeah, for sure, you need to let life take its wheel, and just go with the flow.
Yeah.
All right. So I have one more final question for you. What is your message for youth all across the globe?
It's a very, very weighted question, but I think the biggest takeaway for youth is focus on yourself. There are so many people that you could give your attention and time to, and I know as teenagers we're trying to do something for everyone, but in that process we tend to forget about ourselves. Take care of your parents, take care of your friends, take care of your significant other if you have one, but remember that the most precious thing on this entire planet is you. If you don't take care of yourself, you're never going to be able to take care of other people. You're never going to be able to achieve your goals and your dreams. Yes, it's really important to ace your classes and do well in your sports and do well in whatever it is you're doing, but again, you can't do well if you don't have mental stability and mental calmness, I guess you could say, for yourself. So really connect back to yourself. Um, Amma says A to A, Ananya to Ananya. So it's for you, it might be whatever your
You.
first your name, you to you, is
Yeah.
basically the takeaway, I think. So really focus on yourself, learn to ground yourself, and build that foundation for yourself before you add anything on top of that. Because if there isn't a proper foundation, you will crumble, right? So I think it's so important that you put you before anyone else.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that message. All right, so that concludes our interview. Thank you so much for joining me here today and for your time. I hope that all youth are able to hear your message because it is so powerful. And good luck with your midterms and with school.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Have a great day.